Hi, this is Renato. Welcome to my channel. What you're seeing at the moment is the first settlement built by the Romans in the first century in Budapest. This is called Aquincum. This was a city built by the Romans, but I'm not gonna tell you anything about the Romans in this video, but this video will be about history. Aquincum, which is the name of this place, means water, and it was a city of Pannonia, and Pannonia, it was a province of the Roman Empire, and that's why you see many times written around Budapest, Pannonia, the name Pannonia. So as I told you, as part of my integration series of videos, you should learn a little bit of Hungarian history. And in this video, I'm going to tell you 5 historical events for you to get familiar with them. And in case of, when you're speaking to Hungarians, you hear about these events, then you have an idea about, what are them and when did they occur. The first event, it was in 896. And this is the Hungarian conquest of the Carpathian Basin. So Hungarians at that time, they were a nomadic tribe, and they were looking for a land which has natural defense, natural protection. And they found the Carpathian Mountains to be a good protection for their people. So they conquered the Carpathian Basin. And this was in the year 896, so the 9th century. And they celebrated 1,000 years of anniversary of that conquest by building plenty of stuff here in Budapest. For example, the Liberty Bridge was built that year. The Fisherman Bastion was built that year. The parliament, part of the parliament was handed over that year. The Hero Square, which in fact has a column in the middle, and at the bottom of the column, you can see 7 guys in horses. Those were the 7 leaders of the 7 tribes who were united as Hungarians that year, 896. And also the Vajda Hunyad castle was built, which is actually behind the Hero Square. So 896, a very important date. And let's go to the second date. The second historical event I wanted to tell you is the year 1000, so 1000. That year, the Hungarian kingdom was founded by the King Saint Stephen. And you can see a statue of the first king of Hungary next to the Fisherman Bastion and next to the Matthias Church in the Buda Castle district in Budapest. So, yeah, that year Hungary was founded as a state, and it also started with its Christianity. So the Christianity was started by this king that year. Of course, it didn't end that year. It took many, many decades for Hungary to be Christian as a whole, but it started that year. So now we jump from the 11th century to the 19th century, 1848. There was a revolution against the Austrian Empire. I told you about this already in my first video about integration. And the leader of that revolution was Louis Kossuth. Louis Kossuth is the Hungarian with most statues inside of Hungary and outside of Hungary. So pretty important historical events here in Hungary. Unfortunately, it ended up failing. However, so Hungarians in general, they celebrate that they started the revolution against the Austrian Empire, against the absolutism of Austrians at that time. And the fourth historical event I wanted to tell you about, it is 1920. This was actually the end of the First World War. And once I spoke about this event in front of a Hungarian boss of mine. This was a long time ago, and I learned from that experience, because my boss didn't look at me very kindly. And because of my way of thinking, I said that this should be forgotten, and he didn't like it. He didn't hold grudges. We still talk sometimes. We became acquaintance or friends, and sometimes we meet. I meet the ex-colleagues at that time, and we we speak, we talk, we tell what happened in our lives ever since. But yes, you should never speak or at least say your opinion about the Treaty of Trianon. This was a treaty, a peace treaty. They call it the peace treaty, which took away from Hungary 2/3 of its territory. So even now, 100 years later, Hungarians don't like talking about this treaty. If you want to look for a memorial or a monument in Budapest about this, about this historical event, very close to the Parliament building in Budapest, there is a memorial where you see all of the cities that belonged to Hungary before 1920, all written in that memorial. It's called the Memorial of Togetherness, and you can see the existing cities of Hungary and the cities which belong to Hungary before 1920. So don't talk about the Treaty of Trianon. Don't say your opinion about it in front of Hungarians. And with that, I go to the last historical event you should know about, you should be familiar with, is 1956, which actually I already told you about in the other video. And that's a year when Hungarians rise up against the government and against the Soviet regime. This was the 23rd of October. This revolution was started as a protest by students, but it became a revolution. And actually, that was the biggest refugee crisis of contemporary history in Hungary. So if you meet Hungarians or Hungarian descendants, the descendants of Hungarians who arrived in America, in North America, Canada, to Australia, to England, to the United Kingdom, back in the 70s, back in the 80s, in the 50s, it's because of that revolution. So many people left Hungary at that time, and some of them they stay there. Some of them they come back sometimes to meet with their roots. So yeah, those are the 5 historical events you should be familiar with as an expat in Hungary. I hope that this video is going to be of help for you, and see you in the next one.